Remember that these challenges are not just roadblocks, they're actually a moat of protection around your business. And I think it was Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger who said, you want to have a moat of protection, whether that's patents or whether it's just difficult to actually enter. We call that barriers to entry within the business space. And so the challenges are those barriers to entry, but you're going to overcome them.
3, 2, 1. Liftoff.
Welcome to the Ketamine Startup Podcast. This is where we talk about how to start up a ketamine infusion clinic, market it, and more. This episode comes from one of our mastermind sessions that we host in our signature course, Ketamine Startup 101, where Sam and I shared 4 mindset mnemonics that separate successful clinic owners from those who struggle. These aren't just motivational concepts. These are actually practical mental tools we've used to navigate everything from construction delays, staff turnovers, and yes, even a literal bomb explosion that damaged our clinic. We gained a lot using these frameworks and hope they help you too. Now let's jump into the episode.
We're going to jump into the mindset mnemonics for clinic success. And this is going to help you navigate these inevitable challenges of opening and operating your practice. Opening up the ketamine clinic, there is quite a bit, as you know, like it's a game almost. It's like a psychological game. So there's going to be delays. Expect that. There's going to be low patient volume. So anticipate that, like, hey, yeah, we just know we're going to be slow. All good, and prepare for that. You may have staff turnover at the worst possible time. That's happened to us. Social media platforms, they may shut you down. Actually, one of our social media accounts has been flagged multiple times. It's been disabled multiple times. We've had to upload passports and driver's license. There's going to be medication shortages. It may be ketamine or maybe something else, maybe saline. We've all seen that. There's going to be potentially negative press about ketamine therapy. We've seen that with like Matthew Perry and all of that. So the list really goes on. So given that,
These are actually good. As frustrating as it is, and we're not trying to tell you these things to scare you off. But the reality of it is that these are high barriers to entry. So individuals that are easily scared away by all of those things, which if they all happen at the same time, yes, it's pretty tough. It's less competition. Like, who wants to deal with all that? I'd rather go just work in the hospital or work for somebody else and get my paycheck. And it also weeds out those who are just chasing the money. It is much easier to go do locums somewhere else. It's easier to just pick up those weekends, nights, and holiday shifts, or, if some friend wants you to cover for them or colleague and they'll throw in some extra cash. That is honestly much easier. And these challenges, when you are facing them and stepping up and meeting them, it rewards those who are truly, truly committed. And it separates those who are, real healthcare entrepreneurs or see this as a way to give back to their medical community. Like, they see there's a need and you could do this. And it really sets you apart from those that, again, are looking for that get rich quick scheme. And you can see that that idea of making quick money is something that a lot of people think is happening with this space. And the reality of it, and as you already know, because you're doing all this hard work, it's not that quick. So yes, building a ketamine clinic is hard, or adding ketamine therapy to your practice can be difficult. But anything that's meaningful takes time. It can be difficult. And it doesn't matter even if it's a ketamine therapy clinic, it could be any clinic. And so that's what actually makes this very valuable. Something that's more difficult, that is puts a lot of effort and grit, has more reward. And therefore, the work that requires resilience, dedication, and the right mindset, that actually gives you an edge. While others are overwhelmed and want to quit, you will have the mental tools to push through it. And so today we're going to cover 4 of these mindset mnemonics to help you stay grounded, focused, help you, really overcome those challenges and roadblocks.
and remember that these challenges are not just roadblocks, they're actually a moat of protection around your business. And I think it was Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger who said, you want to have a moat of protection, whether that's patents or whether it's just difficult to actually enter. We call that barriers to entry within the business space. And so the challenges are those barriers to entry, but you're going to overcome them.
So this first mnemonic is FMA, focus, meaning, action. This is your foundation here. And this is something that we have been really utilizing with everything that's gone on with our own clinic, with the explosion that happened a few months back. Sometimes there's just a lot going on, and we have relied on using this mnemonic.
So the first portion of the mnemonic is the F. What am I choosing to focus on? The second one is the M, the meaning. What meaning will I assign to this challenge? And the third component is the A. What's the action that I can take right now? So when everything's feeling chaotic, these are the three things that I focus on: the focus, the meaning, and the action. So I want you to download this into your brain: FMA, FMA. And sometimes there's another mnemonic,
Uh,
FML, which is F my life. And you're just like, oh my gosh, there's so much going on. But we just switch it from FML to FMA, focusing on what you can control.
So, how can this play out? So let's say you're dealing with some construction delays or you're waiting for some form to get through or whatever, and focusing on what you can control now for the F. And then the meaning of it is, I have more time to perfect protocols, like making emergency protocols and staff training. For us, that was us learning how to make YouTube videos and blogs to really start diving into marketing. Because our first month, again, we did only 4 infusions, and we are like, why are we doing this? We can't control who's coming in. So we made some meaning of this is more time for us to learn about marketing. And then action. So finalize equipment orders, build referral relationships, take action on this perfect time to do some work. Let's say you're having staff turnover, right? So you thought you hired this wonderful person, and then 2 weeks in, they're like, no, I can't do this, or they're like, surprise, I'm going to have to move. And, instead of focusing on, oh my gosh, why did I hire this person? Or why did they say yes? Focus on the solution instead of the blame. And then the meaning is, hey, you know what? This is an opportunity to find a better fit for my team. And for the action is you learn something, right? So maybe you're going to refine your hiring process. Maybe it was you realize, oh wow, maybe it was a little bit clunky when I was onboarding them. And so you can improve that system. And here's another example, like social media account shutdown, something that just inevitably happens because you will mention ketamine at least once or twice, and somebody will flag it or the algorithm will flag it. And so instead of being like, oh my gosh, not again, which is something that we're dealing with our hilariously our ketamine startup podcast Instagram, I'm going to focus on different marketing channels. So that's what I'm doing, right? And so the meaning is, well, how can I diversify my outreach strategy, which is exactly what we did. So then instead, what we're doing is we're taking action, strengthening our email list. And in this case, the example here is, direct physician referrals. For us, that means instead of me relying on Instagram, took action and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to really lean into LinkedIn. I'm going to really drive traffic to our YouTube channel with those short clips. So it's taking that focus from a disempowered, why is this me? Why is this happening? To being like, okay, what's something that I can actually do and control and take action with? The next one is MIT, most important thing. And this is something that can be your daily North Star.
So every morning I'll ask myself, what is our MIT for today? What is the most important thing? And I want it to be one primary objective: really quality over quantity. I know sometimes I can create a to-do list that's like 30 to-dos. And out of those, I'm like, all right, what's the one thing that I must get done? Think of it more as like an executive task list, right? Because a lot of things can be outsourced, but what's the one thing that I can do? And make it really tangible, because as you start up the clinic, there's going to be just a lot of things that are coming up. And when I focus on the MIT, what's my most important thing, it's just going to cut through all of that overwhelm. And so this is really the key. As Kim mentioned, it's the daily North Star to focus on what's actually most important.
So maybe you need a call your marketer or the website person to fix something, and yeah, maybe you need to like hang up that painting that you just bought to see if it works. But in reality, you need to complete that DEA registration paperwork because you've been kind of, pushing it off, or you're going, oh, I really don't want to like change the address from where I currently am. It's a little complex. You just hone in on what actually is needed so that you could actually see that first patient instead of figuring out, should I hire, a bunch of MAs and a few scribes, and where you're like, oh, actually I need a lead nurse. Like I need to focus on that instead of being like, I need to figure out the exact perfect entire team. Like, who do you just really need to get this done? Instead of trying to figure out like, how can I, market this more effectively, or how can I make sure patients want to come back again? You just need to finalize actually the patient intake protocol, right? So going back to what's the thing that you really, really need done for the next step? Because I know for me, I'm very detailed oriented. I'm the spreadsheet person. Sam is like the, what do you say, bird's eye view type of individual. So this MIT is much more easy for him. But for me, it's like, okay, I just need to think of what's the next step that can actually lead to getting a patient into the clinic or taking care of them.
And remember that just doing the one meaningful thing will beat a bunch of half finished tasks. So that actually leads into the next mnemonic we want to share with you, and it's WIN, WIN. And that stands for what's important now. This really helps recalibrate your focus. So if I'm thinking about those 10 different things and my mind is racing about all the possible problems that may come up, well, let me just focus on what's important now. And it may not even be related to the business. It may be, hey, what's important now? You know what? I need to sleep. Or, hey, I actually need to go work out. So it doesn't necessarily need to be just the business side, like what's important now. This really hones down on the importance of presence and the power behind being in the present moment. So it's going to bring you back to the now. It's going to help you get more clarity, more focus. And this is really where you have the most amount of power, is like in this present moment, because this is where you can actually take those steps.
Hey, listeners, this is Kim, and I just want to acknowledge that you're here for a reason. Maybe you're stuck in a cycle of long shifts, feeling a little burnt out, and wondering if there's any other way to practice medicine, especially on your own terms. We've been there, and that's exactly why we created this free checklist, your step by step roadmap to starting a ketamine clinic without those costly mistakes. Grab your copy now at www.ketaminestartup.com/checklist. It's completely free because we want you to succeed, not struggle. And hey, if you're driving or mid workout, don't sweat it. Just check out the show notes for the link when you're ready. And again, that's www.ketaminestartup.com/checklist. Now let's get back to the episode. So instead of worrying about the future, well, oh no, what if we don't get enough patients? The win response would be, what can I do now to build referral relationships? What can I do right now? Oh, I met a psychiatrist who really doesn't want to do ketamine therapy, but totally believes in it and is next door. And we just met, okay, let's get to know that individual more. Instead of worrying about the past, ruminating about that, oh, why did we choose this location? Or why did we just choose to go with this vendor or this webmaster? Like, why did I do that? Instead, how can we maximize the decision we made? How can I maximize this location now? And I think the big thing about win, and that's again going back to it, pulls you into the present because that's the only place you can actually take action. The past is us just being, really worried about what happened, and the future is really worried about what will happen. And when you're really clear about being in the present, you can take those value centered actions. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the why again when we round out this topic later. Is that instead of being reactive, you can take proactive, value centered actions.
Which leads to our next mnemonic, which is ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. Think of this as like mental pest control. And hey, look, it's going to happen. I think 100,000 years ago, the ancestors who maybe had these automatic negative thoughts were more likely to survive, but we don't live in that environment anymore. So when you first notice an automatic negative thought, recognize it. It's like, okay, is this just an ant? Like you might be thinking, hey, this is never going to work. Oh, we're not going to see enough patients. Name it. And you say, you know what? That's just an ant. Observe it, understand it, then squash it. Remember, these ants are kind of like real ants. They're annoying, but they may not be that dangerous unless you have, 10,000 of them. That can be dangerous and you need to call pest control. So, having this clear, positive mindset is actually going to make your clinic even more successful.
So some common clinic ants, we're never going to get some paperwork approved. No one will ever refer to us. We can't compete with these other established clinics. Oh, this latest ketamine controversy has really like ruined us. And even though we're not related to it, but nobody's like coming now, or oh my goodness, we're so way in over our heads. I'm still juggling my old job with this, and my kid's sick, and my parents have to move in with us now. And, again, it's acknowledging that these are automatic negative thoughts, labeling it as such, and refocusing on facts and solutions. It's really common for us to have negative thoughts, especially with us folks in healthcare, because that is what helps us avoid a patient getting hurt or dying. And I know for myself, I prided myself in the past being like, I can think of all the negative outcomes. I can figure out all the things that we need to avoid to help make sure this patient, I'm going to make sure it's not this, this, or this. And that's why I'm going to order this test. And that's why I'm going to do this type of intervention. But in daily life, starting a practice, running a business, you can get overwhelmed. You can have an ant infestation. And so this is something that is that concept of being an observer of your thoughts is another way of it. And just being like, hey, you know what? I'm having more ants today because I'm tired. I'm jet lagged. I had to stay up all night with my kid because they had a fever. And I'm noticing that there's a lot more today. So my win for today is going to take a nap. What's important now is I take a nap so I can be centered when I go on that call with our attorney to go over our latest form that we wanted them to look at, which goes to the idea of the power of your why. If you are somebody that follows a lot of what we do, is we talk about the why. A lot of our students and folks we've had on our podcast talk about their why because it is so powerful. It is the rocket fuel that is going to get you through whatever comes up, and actually just to get you out of that, it's like that activation energy, that the gravity of the negativity or the challenges that happen that can hold you back. And this will help you blast through that, because almost 50% of businesses will fail in 5 years. And some of those challenges that we mentioned, or ones that are way out of your control, natural disaster, political changes, economic changes, are completely out of your control. But having that strong why can really guide you through it.
Yeah, and I mean, as one example is the terrorist bombing that occurred in Palm Springs for us. Like that was huge and it was overwhelming, and there was so much, and there is so much associated with it. But going back to my why, like why am I doing this? Oh, because I'm here to help people. I'm here to help reduce suffering. I'm here to provide transformational medicine experiences, and then seeing all the patients that we've been able to help. Like this is the why. And it moves me from that sense of overwhelm to taking action. So this is really important to get out of that fight, flight, freeze mode and into solution mode. Go back to your why, because this is really going to be your grounding base.
And so combining these ideas of the why and your mindset tools, the power of your why, it fuels your focus. When everything's chaotic, again, focus, meaning, and action. Your why, it truly makes it clear on what's important every day. So it can help guide that MIT, because if you don't have a strong why, your MIT might be is okay, find funding because I need to keep this clinic open when it's actually, I should probably get my lab work done because I haven't been feeling well, or seeing a doctor yourself. And your why, it anchors you in the now. That when you want to quit, when you want to throw in the towel, it really brings you back into the present. And your why, it silences the ants. So you see that it's an ant, and then you realize, oh, wait, my why is stronger than this negative thought that I have. And it really is the foundation that makes any of these mindset mnemonics really effective. Because, if your why isn't strong, or if you're not even clear on your why, right? If you haven't had time to investigate it or even to solidify it, because I think Most of us, when we go into starting this new adventure of having ketamine therapy clinic or adding ketamine to our practice, is you kind of have an idea. You feel very empowered by the idea of providing this. You feel is the right thing to do. So it doesn't solidify it to a real why. So maybe taking time to clarify that why will actually be that great foundation to make these tools effective. Because a tool is only as effective as much as you use it and using it correctly.
So I just want to kind of put it all together. We love mnemonics. I mean, from our med school experiences, like we know that mnemonics help, whether it's Horner syndrome and you have PAM, or remember just the thousands of mnemonics to like remember the Krebs cycle, for example. So these are the four that I want you to take home with you today. Number one, the FMA: focus, meaning, and action. This is the foundation for when chaos hits. The second one is MIT: what is the most important thing that I need to do today? That's going to bring you that clarity and focus. The third mnemonic is when. What's important now? This is going to bring that present moment and give you the power to take action in the present. And then finally, the fourth mnemonic is ANT: automatic negative thoughts. And think of that as mental pest control. So, really download these four mnemonics. The more you practice them, the better you're going to get at them. And as you use them, building your ketamine clinic, success is not just possible, it's inevitable.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Ketamine Startup Podcast. These mindset tools aren't just theory, they're the mental frameworks that help us build a thriving practice, and they will help you too. If you found this episode valuable, we'd really appreciate it if you could leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It helps other entrepreneurial medical professionals like you discover this show and grow this community. For show notes and resources related to today's episode, visit our website at ketaminestartup.com/podcast. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.